webinar Forex forecast for the week of 3/5/17 to 3/10/17. I'm joined by a very special friend and guest and partner, Mike Ficca.
Hey guys, how are we?
I'm absolutely doing wonderful. I know you had a good weekend. We're talking about this off air. And today's webinar is brought to you by the letter Y. Why? Because we said so. Um, Before we get started, I have to put a very special. Today's always a very special day for us.
Yes.
Happy birthday to my brother Brian Farrow and my best friend Amy Kuipers, one of my best friends. Both born on the same exact day. Whose parents were busy that day, huh? But a couple years apart, who knows, right? But this is a very special day for us because March 6th is not just a birthday for Amy Kuipers and Brian Farrow. It's a mentality that we developed this day. Last year, we shifted our mentality from just being a run-of-the-mill customer service signal network to going to the advanced, pushing the customer service to the umpteenth level. We had a come to Jesus meeting between Amy Kuipers, myself, and Brian Farrow on March, I think it was like March 5th. And we released on Brian's birthday and their birthday this concept of put the customer in a process, not the customer is always right solution, right? Because that's not always true either. But where we focus on helping the customer reach this is where we built our mission statement, okay? To help people get to their idea of success, help as many people get to their idea of success. And so it was on this day that these two beautiful people were born, but also a concept that you're a part of right now. And why we'd done this was because we came from a very dark place and a very dark industry that was sucking us into, you got to get people on, you got to get them in the network, it's all about the money, and you got to change some ways of thinking in order for this to work. And do you think, Mike, that this was something that we did pretty well?
Yes. I mean, it's like 90 since when I started, to be honest with you.
Right. Well, that was just from where you started back in August,
Yeah.
but
that's all I know.
the year before, yeah, you would have gotten customer service, you would have gotten people talking to you, but I don't think we had the training modules. I don't think we had a lot of the things in the very beginning that we grew into the seat of our pants, if you will. That we knew that if we were going to be real about changing the industry, we couldn't do it by just saying the words. We actually had to start with action, not words. So most people start with words and try to fill in the action. We had to actually start with action and talk about what we were doing along the way. Another thing that we created on this day was what we called the complete transparency model. This is where we talked about things that were hurtful in this industry, but also about things that we didn't do well, or either we broke or we did do well. We talked about our successes and our failures. We never just hid one part of it. We never made it seem that we were something we were not. We always came out to talk about the true things. When something wasn't working, we let people know. And I think these two key features of our customer service and our full transparency model is what separates us from everybody else. And I like it. Today's topics, we're going to talk about this week in the news. Usually a big news week, the first week of the month, usually the first Friday, the NFP. But for some reason, and I'm still not finding, and nobody can tell me why, that this month they decided to push the NFP back a full week, so that the 10th, I think it's the latest I've ever seen an NFP arrive. Usually the 8th or 9th I've seen, but I've never seen the 10th and 11th area, process here. But we're going to be talking about that in the news. We're going to be talking about using the systems that work for you. Okay, now keep that in mind that you're a pro webinar attendee here to learn what systems work well for you. Doesn't mean they all will. You just have to find out which one does and step on the gas. Speaking of stepping on the gas, we've started to really grow, and the more we grow, the bigger we have to build into our system. So we're going to apply some very special systems, and Mike is going to hear a lot about this today and over the next couple of days, webinars and series that are going to be that he's going to be in charge of a lot too. You're going to hear a lot of great stuff from Mike, because Mike's a very powerful trader. He's a monster trader. He's like data, build, make it happen, right? So He's cut from the same cloth as myself and Amy and Brian and the other great people, Paul, that are here to make something even better. We're going to talk about some advanced consults too. Okay, we'll talk about what that means here. You know, we gotta talk real. Remember, full transparency here. We gotta talk real. Also, we're going to talk about Dex Effects World News, which is we're very excited about this new website we put together to sort of handle some of the filtering of news from the world. Because you know how like sometimes you can sit down and look at a news site and it's like there's so much information out there you don't know what applies to you. So what we're going to do, and I'll show you inside here, we're going to build a series of systems that are going to filter out certain things that you, from your idea of success and what tools you need to work with, what works best for you, and what news works for you, and what will affect you in your trading, and put you into an area that you can now focus your trader style in there. So very, very, very happy for that process for you. And then, of course, we'll finish up with final thoughts. But as we get going, we might talk about prices today. Might talk about things that we make, what people do, their success rates, those things. And if so, everything we're going to talk about today is about educational and trade assistance to help you become a better trader. But also, all results may vary. What Vivian does, to Paul does, to Sean does, to to what I do or to what Mike can do may not be what you can do, or you could do better. Either way, all results may vary. All right. So news, simple, non-farm payroll, usually mucks up an entire week. And a very, of course, right. The whole process of the non-farm payroll is to tell you of those people in the industry that are getting new jobs, not getting new jobs, what have you, and to isolate that information from from people that are actually like working on the farm, like migrant workers, people that are usually under the table, those things. And they call it the non-farm payroll because it's usually within the farm industries you can have certain forgivenesses, and there's a lot of misunderstanding of employment rates and how much money has gone out into the world of and payroll is very important for a lot of people to know about how much employments and how much money is changing hands, especially in the FX world, right? Let me give you an example. If Coca-Cola is in the United States, are they also in Europe? Absolutely. So if they make money here in the United States, and they're making money over in Europe, okay, and they have to, for whatever reason, change monies from USD to euros to pay their people if they're basically a United States company, right? And they have a base of money that they make over here, but yet they need to take some of that money and pay for the euros. What do? Well, they go to a bank, right? They take their money, they put it into an institution. The institution says, okay, when the euro USD hits this particular number, traded all the money over to get the best rate. So they, in essence, become traders on the network. And why that's so important is because the more money that gets flooded into the markets, into the Forex area, the more money changes hands, that money goes into the economy, right? Which the more money that goes into the economy will boost that particular pair, right? So the USD, that's what we're looking at, the USD. So that's why the news on the non-farm payroll is very important. It happens in the first Friday of every month, within the exception that if usually, I've seen it, that if the first Friday is like the first or the second, okay, that they'll usually postpone it. You usually need a Wednesday, a Thursday, and a Friday of the first month to be able to non-farm payroll to be actionable, right? But this month it did fall on the third. It's the first time I've seen it fall on the third where they didn't use it on that Friday. So a little bit of craziness happening at that point, right? Because now we're a whole week away. Now, do all the things apply to the non-farm payroll, like the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday news? Absolutely. There's still heavy news on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. But there's also some news happening on these days as well that we call overlap news, right? And this is so two things on news that you always want to worry about, right? If you're using daily signals or any of the signals at all, right? If you're on 5-minute signals, any news, one bull, two bull, three bull, avoid. If you're on SR maxes, the beginning of an SR max, if you have news that is in the beginning, or the end, okay, open or close news or in between, okay, avoid. 2 bull, 3 bull. Simple. Daily news, only avoid the news if you get like an abundance amount of news. We're talking you have 8:30 news in the morning, you got 10 o'clock news, okay, because the expiry is at 11 o'clock, right, for some of the dailies. So the morning dailies get really affected. The other dailies don't get affected as much than the dailies that release at 8 to 8:15 to 8:30 for the 11 o'clock expiry. These are the ones that are the biggest fail rate when these news happens. When you get an 8:30 news, a 10 o'clock news, okay, or 9:30, 10 o'clock news, and usually get 2 or 3 bulls along the way. This particular news process gets usually compounded, and it's either trick the market to get into a direction a little bit, right? That it should have been a buy, but it comes out as a sell, correct itself, and then a 10 o'clock news hit and it drives it further. This is where we get the massive failure. So I tell people avoid the 8:30 news if there's going to be 10:30 news during this process. If there's only 8:30 news, then the dailies will usually survive, and you might even get filled at that point. At a higher rate of success. Okay, but avoid it if there's 8:30 and 10:30 news access. There's also a period that you want to avoid the overlap this week. And this is where the Euro session, the London session, comes in, starts at 2 o'clock in the morning, ends at 12 Eastern time. But then at 9 o'clock Eastern, 8:30, 9 o'clock Eastern, the US session, the New York session starts and ends at 4 or 5 o'clock, right? But this overlap time between 9 o'clock and 12 o'clock, where the London session closes, this particular week has some unusual newses that happen in that process, right? So you don't want to be trading, if you're trading SR maxes or intradays, you don't want to be trading during this particular time, just for that from Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, of course. Okay, there's, I think Monday and Tuesday are sort of offset in there, but really watch this time period because our data is starting to show now that that overlap period, okay, from the London session, just that little block has the highest rate of failure rate, okay, of all the signals at 63%. All right. So, and that's a mix of dailies, intradays, and SR maxes. Now, with SR max is a little bit different. I don't count the call out exclusion, right? So, the crossover, true losses. There's only been one true loss in that section, in that area. The other 3 true losses out of all the SR maxes that we put out there have happened during other various times. And I haven't been able to isolate that variable just yet. That's the great part about the company. We're always learning, we're always building, we're always doing stuff. We used to try to trade the NFP. We used to try to trade news and figure that out. But it became very apparent to us that there's no way that we can speculate the news. Why? Because there's too many freaking things that messes with it, right? You could be doing really good and all of a sudden Trump will come out and say something and it'll push it one way or another. Or maybe Yellen, the lady Yellen will come out, right? And she'll start to do her thing and it'll, recess the market. We notice that our commodity pairs that get affected by news of oil or gold or the CAD of oil or what have you get affected. And things that are supposed to act one way act complete opposite. And when you don't have clear, decisive data, big movement days scare the shit out of me. So, quit it. Now, Mike, I asked you to be here today too for another reason. You've worked with most of these that are on the screen right now, the dailies, intradays, SR maxes, that's MD. Even you haven't started too much with the WM or the WB, right?
No.
All right. The solutions that best work for you, you started with just a little bit, but you've gone through them all basically, right? Except for the WB, which is a version of the MBD. Or again, so many initials. I apologize, but you found out what worked and what didn't work for you, right? Now I don't need you to tell me what does work and what doesn't work for you. But you tried them all, right?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And you found where your mentality came from a lot was more of the 5-minute trade systems. but you found relationships and learning pathways in each one of them. Each one teach you a certain way to trade. And can you use information coming from one that you've learned on how to trade and how to treat the market for another?
Absolutely. I mean, that's how we discovered the 5 minute MDM. If I never traded the SR Max, we never would have had this system. I
Right.
mean, it's I really enjoy, ever since you made me stop the 5 minutes and start with the intradays. I really enjoy the intradays. I
Right.
think that I have a lot of success with that, and uh, a new way that I started trading the dailies. I actually had a great success with that as well, and
Okay.
choking up and data processing center, looking at all the data that you provided for us. I mean, it's fantastic.
So you can safely say that an advanced trader like yourself, that one of the reasons you got to be advanced, and I think you got to be advanced, is because you started to watch how the other signals in the market and you got more information. Even though that one style works best for you,
Right.
you were able to simply narrate or narrow that search down by knowing what you didn't want to do. But you got information from each one, right?
Correct. Yeah. Absolutely.
So if you're watching this right now, you're watching this after the fact, you're watching this in the pro webinar, you should never, ever, ever, ever turn your back on something until you've exhausted it. If you're here, and I'm going to speak plainly to you folks today that are watching this, that are brand new to the webinars, or you're watching this after the fact, if you come into a system and go, oh, well, that daily system didn't work for me because it was too big in a range. If that doesn't work, then nothing else can work. You're a fool. You're an absolute fool, because what you have available in front of you is a learning system that's going to put you into a mentality to be able to learn 4 or 5 major signal systems that could be available for you to learn about a market, from price action to indication to technical trading, that can lead you into these more advanced processes within a certain period of time. Too many people try to start at the top and figure out what, that doesn't work for them, then nothing can. Try starting at the bottom. Try starting at the easiest absolute one. Which one's the easiest one on here, Mike?
The easiest one as far as what?
As far as ease of use for somebody brand new, what's the easiest signal for somebody to be able to take on the
Oh,
network?
I would say the dailies or the intradays, because they're given out and they come over the. You can either get them SMS, or you can get them on the site themselves. I mean, either
Right.
texting or whatever. It doesn't get any easier than that. This is what you want
Yeah.
to take. This is what you want to do. It's great.
Well, the dailies are easiest but they're the most boring. Let me tell you that right now. They're the most boring because they're 2.5 hour trades. They're you set and forget, that kind of process. And it does have a solution. Now, all of them have a surviving the drawdown kind of process,
Mhm.
but the concept is, what is the easiest for you to start with, and that's going to be the dailies. If the dailies don't work for you, that's okay. But during the dailies, you learn a sniper type of mentality of being extremely patient, watching a few small variables, placing your working orders, and being done, right? And that's the beginning part. You start here. If you advance in the intradays and you learn some things, you're trading in demo, you're finding what works and what doesn't work for you, you might find that you're not so good at daily or intradays. You don't like the dailies because they're too slow, or maybe you do like the dailies, and this is all where you stay. That's perfect. Do you realize we have over 300 something paying members, over 2,400 people in training and learning and going from place to place over all 3 networks? And let me tell you, folks, I have a set of individuals that I rarely ever hear from. Brian hears from them in customer service every once in a while when, like, they have a login issue or what have you, and he asks them, what system do you use? We're starting to get more feedback from these. Like, we have one person who writes us all the time, says, listen, I've been doing dailies now for 6 months and I make my money. And it's hard to hear from some of these people, because you would think that somebody who found, like, hey, I found something at work, would be out there screaming it from the rooftops and telling everybody. Some of these people don't want to let everybody know, because I think they're going to jinx it or something, right? But these things do work for people, and there is a lot of success for a lot of people that just come in. They found what they were looking for. You know what? They get a good haircut, they tell a couple of friends, what have you. But if they get a bad haircut, they're going to tell everybody, right? In their cases, they get a system that works. They were looking for a system that worked for them to be able to trade. It does. It taught them. They do it. They're happy. They pay. That's the way it works. Okay. Not everybody's going to be in the chat room with us and and get to the level like Mike did, because they just wanted a system to learn, and that's where they started out in the dailies. I find that people that like the intradays are a little bit more fast paced. They do a little bit more research. They're using the DPC on Dex Trader, or they're using the charting system or the spreadsheet system that's on Dex Signals, and they're working that. Okay, they're working a lot of work in between. There's no exit plan on this process. There's a couple of confirmation solutions you can do by using the Dex MACD that's on the website or in MetaTrader 4, or using the MACD that's on the web-based charts on Dex Trader. If it's all going in the direction when the intraday comes out, then it's a very good opportunity to get into a trade. The SR Maxes then begin to teach you how much you can watch this as it progresses. The SR Max is going to get you in at a very good price. You're going to see how the market's going to unfold. If you get a curl and a crossover on the MACD that's on the web-based chart, it's time to get out, and you usually can get out for very, very, very good prices of $15 to $20, $25 in the negative. Sometimes you can get out for very little money in the positive. If you get just enough of a curl, right, you'll get to see how that works out. And of course, using the DEX MDM webinar system, or webinar, WB system, meaning web-based system, can be used as a training tool for you, and of course, being able to get into it, and we can discuss those things later. But using every single one of the processes to find what works and doesn't work for you. If you end up stopping at the dailies and that's working for you, great, then let it be. But if it's not working for you, don't run away. Don't go try to find some other system that's better, because you're starting out at the bottom, learning how to trade the simplest possible way. Why are we so successful? Because there's so many people that don't want the over technical. They just want the ease of use. And that's what you learn here from the very beginning, is ease of use. Strip away all the bullshit and start it here. So you stripped it all away. Do it. Now it's time to start doing it, right? Mike, that's where you started. That's where I think you and I had our biggest conflicts in the very beginning, is because there was a lot of conflict with inside of you on, oh my God, I just did 5 trades and one of them failed. This can't work. And I think you got lost behind the fact that there has to be losses in a system, and we don't like systems. We don't like systems that lose. Even you could be trading. I was talking to this is about more than a year ago, and I rarely will ever lose my composure, right? But I was yelling at this individual on the phone because he's like, I'm in there trading. I'm trading at 92%, and I want to quit. I was like, why? Because I need to get as close to 100 as possible so I can trust the system. I'm like, you're an effing idiot. You're trading at 92% and you're calling me for a refund? Are you effing crazy? And he's like, well, if your system loses and I don't want to lose. Not that he talked like that, but I'm having fun making fun of him. But that's what it came down to, is that some people, you can never please everybody, but there's some people you can never please, no matter how good your system is. I gave him a 99.9%, and he probably would have still bitched about the loss, because some people can't handle that. Some people can't handle the truth that it really does take, sorry, big movie reference, but they can't handle that truth that happens to them, and that losing needs to happen in a system because it makes it real. It protects you. Do you realize what losing does? It does protect you because it tells you, hey, I better not throw the football too far in the air because it can get intercepted. If they ever made football that you could never intercept the ball, then the guy could just keep throwing the ball wherever and just throw it a foot and it would never get intercepted. Or throw it up in the air and just do Hail Marys all day. It would seem exciting, but after a while it'd be boring as hell. All right, so nonetheless, once you find the system that works for you, it's time to step on the gas. And that means buying volume at certain levels that you need to apply volume for and preparing yourself for your success. On to our next segment. We're going to be building, and we already have a very powerful webinar. So this system here, and we don't mind telling people, it's called clickmeeting.com. And clickmeeting.com has been a rock steady for us here. In fact, it sort of made our webinar series what it is. We have these 3 webinars a day or 3 webinars a week for the pro when we can. And we have 4 webinars at night. And somebody came to me once and said, why do you do so many webinars or live webinars? And I said, do so many? I said, I want to do more. I want to be able to talk to people and tell them what we're doing and let them know. And we sat down and had this conversation on, what's good for a webinar. For a live webinar, it can be done in a pre-recorded webinar to let them know the information, because basically you have a captive audience for that time. They can go there and do certain things, and they can't fast forward the webinar, but they can see that there's people in there. There's going to be moderators, going to be things that are going to happen. But they said you should be really focusing on your time on only doing live webinars for as many people as possible you can get into a room to help as many people. Because if you're doing webinars for 10 or 15, 20 people, you're wasting your time, because you are helping those people, but you could be helping so many more, because each new person in there becomes a part of that solution. So you got to get as many people in there as possible. So build up to big live webinars once or twice a month, once or twice a week. Okay. In most cases, you have to create a bunch of smaller webinars that people can go to have other moderators and other presenters, Mike and Paul and other people who can talk about the system or chat to people in the system, and develop a system to be able to train and give people that information. And that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be focusing, like some of our sales webinars can be done in this fashion, so for you folks that are here, oh, hey, listen, I really do appreciate the support. I really do. I love going in and seeing a sales webinar at night for like our MDM system, and there's other people in the room. There's Tim W, there's Vivian, there's all these people who support us, and I love you for that. You guys just rock. You are part of our company and our soul, and I can't thank you enough for that. But there's also times when I know that you can't be there and it becomes an effort for you to be there, and I think that support is great, but we also have to have, you have to have your own time as well. And I don't want to, if we ramp up webinars, it doesn't mean you need to be there. Okay. We can do certain things to have you go to certain ones of your liking in that time. And we really do appreciate that, for you to be able to moderate and chat and talk to people that are there as well, because I may not be able to be there. Okay. But somebody from the company will be, because I need to be utilizing my time very, I guess you could say, smartly, right? But I have to use my time smarter, because I'm using my time to talk to a lot of people, to help a lot of people, to build systems, but also I have a family. Also, I have a life that I have to commit to. I also have to trade, and make money from my side as well. So we're going to be advancing into this series. Now, some are there to sell products. You don't have to join those ones if you're already part of the program. There are other products that we're going to be offering, but they're only going to be products that we're going to be offering. All right. I'm not going to go into affiliate marketing, like go into this $5,000 a day system and learn how to get your first car. I don't believe in all that MLM stuff anymore. I don't want to upsell you or to trick you into buying other things, right? I want you to learn the things that you need to learn for you. In some cases, like I was talking about before, the daily system, there might be a series that's out there that might teach you how to learn and use the daily systems even more. So you can attend that webinar. And that webinar will be on a recycling process, so you can attend at certain times. And there'll be people in there to moderate it that can answer questions as well. And you can look at other products in there that help that particular type of trading, right? The problem that we have now with some of the webinars is that it becomes very generalized, right? That I got to come up with a Tony Robbins moment. I got to come up with a process to talk to Mike and be able to do that. Where now we can focus your mentality and your trading style, okay, onto a particular webinar that will appease you. So for those that are trading dailies, it'll be a webinar all about dailies. And those that are trading intradays, all about intradays. And you can attend those, and we'll revamp them and redo them as we go along. It won't be just redundant vomit, right? But I can do that where I don't have to do it I can build a whole series out in a couple of hours that could last you a month or two, okay? Because I don't want to overload you with too much information, right? You don't want to sit in a 4-hour webinar, right? Unless it's going to give you like 10 years worth of education, okay? So we're going to be building these out. Now, some of them, of course, are going to be, well, most of them, all of them are going to be for free. You're going to be able to join these things for free. The sales webinars will be for things that you'll have an opportunity to pay for at the end and buy one-time products from us, learn other learning systems, things that you want to get in advance, you know. There'll be even discounts for you for, like, if you're not part of the MDM series or what have you, or you want to advance or you want to do what have you, special indicator systems are going to be doing special indicator training. All that stuff's going to be there for you, but you're going to get an opportunity to go to each one of those lists and opt in. And anytime that you don't really need that one anymore, just simply opt out. And it's that simple, okay? We'll show you how to navigate the webinar and series system that we're going to be putting together over the next week. This is going to be one of the biggest fundamental moves of information and content sharing that we've ever built, okay? Because it's going to be accompanied with a few other very powerful networks and solutions for us that we've built. And we took a long time to build this, and we're now at that point where we're going to be building the evergreen products that are always going to be there for you to be able to go share and go use. And you can share this with friends and family and other people to go join them as well, to go get the information and possibly join us as well. But you can also, you know, constantly, you can always get tuned up. You can always go back for free and learn how to do some of those things again. You hear the words again, embedded into your brain from that process, right? So this is stuff that you can actually pick and choose a la carte to join. We're going to have them all on every site. Will have their own version of it. Okay, so it's going to be very powerful for all of you to be able to choose the advanced webinar stuff that you're going to want to do. All right. One word to the wise. If you hear anybody else out there, anybody comes in any of the rooms, anybody does anything, they get in that room, and if anybody in the chat room's like, yes, that's right, join me here, go to this link, ignore the shit out of them, okay? Sometimes you get people who kind of come over, try to cross-promote. Anybody who's coming in the room, unless they say senior or they've been approved with that process, nobody should be giving you a link in the room except Amy, myself, Brian, or anybody with senior level 2 by their name, okay? If you don't recognize it, definitely don't go to it. All right, so word to wise. So if the webinar doesn't have our DEX logo on it, avoid it like the plague. Mike, this is going to concern you too. We're going to be doing advanced consults. Mike, I got to tell you, buddy, the last week I have not had to do a consult. And I'm afraid that I'm going to go and trip all over myself today because I got 2 of them. And I haven't done one for over a week, almost 2 weeks now. And if it wasn't for you, I would not have been able to circle in to get everything that we needed done. Do you realize what I was able to do by not doing the consults because I had webinars and other things to do? But I was also able to build the WB for the MDM series, create to the training, build the DEX Effects World, build the DEX Data Chart Sub Data Processing Center, which nobody knows about yet until now. There's so much other stuff that I was able to build. Because of that. It doesn't mean that I don't care for you folks, that I don't want to talk to you. It's that there's some times where I kind of have to pull back, go dark, get the stuff done that I need to get done. Mike filled in with that just for that 2 weeks. Did what, like 40 something webinars in that 2 weeks? Probably more.
I met a lot of people.
Met a lot of people. And man, let me tell you, we got some great response from a lot of people. Everybody loves you. I don't think there was one bad one in the bunch, right? And
Oh, wow.
I have to tell you that because for everybody that's listening too, go to Mike. Always go to Mike. No, I'm kidding. But Mike has become very passionate about helping people as well. He's fallen right into that process of helping as many people reach their idea of success as well. Now, Mike is not the most technical person
No.
in the world. Right? I've had to really, as you've done wonderful, you've shined, okay? But there are going to be times when we want to help as many people as possible, but there's going to be times when you may not be technical. You might be a Mike, you might be somebody else, you might have a little bit harder of time to do it. Right? Our system is we're trying to make our system as easy as possible, following the videos, going through the training, doing that process, but sometimes there's maybe that 1 or 2 little things slip. Now let me tell you why we're going to charge for $50 per session for some of the remotes. Now, if you're having a problem like the system's broken or something's broken on it, you know, if you do pay for a remote access and we deem it hey, you know what? This isn't something that's your fault. We'll refund your money. I'm telling you that right now. That's a guarantee. I never want to charge you for remote access to go in and help you with something that it turned out to be our fault. If it was our fault, okay, even if we're really super unsure if it was our fault or your fault, I'll refund your money because I do not want your money for something that was broken for us. Okay, but our time is very precious. You know, Mike's time is very precious. If he's going in there to help you learn about the process and it's something more, there's some advanced webinars that you can do with Mike on the MDM system, maybe to go through some of the extra stuff that you're going to do. Like you want him to do a few extra things for you to help you, you know, narrate what you need to do. That's worth your time instead of you floating around, right? So if you're getting me on the phone to help you diagnose the process because your computer doesn't do it or something happens, it's definitely worth the $50 to it helps us manage our time better. It also helps you, you know, get all your ducks in a row and do so quickly so you can have that information working for you, not wondering what it's supposed to do, right? There are other things that'll happen in that consult. We'll talk to you about your trading style, what you need to do. If there's time afterwards, we'll sit down. It's not about 1 hour for $50, right? It could take some time. Who knows? If you have nothing else backed in, I want to make sure you're tucked away very nicely, that you have everything you need, right? And that you're going to be able to do it. There might be an assessment at that point. If you can't get this, what will work within our system? If nothing will work in our system for you, we might have to have a hard conversation of, hey, listen, maybe trading's not for it. And is that worth that time for you? And the answer should be yes, because sometimes knowing what not to do is worth its weight in gold. Do you agree with that move, Mike?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike has talked to some brilliant people, but there's sometimes when there's some people you can't always help. You know, got to dust the sand from the sandals every once in a
There's a
while.
gentleman today that you're with that I could not, I didn't understand what he was trying to do. And I mean, I'm getting to know MetaTrader 4 a lot better, but I couldn't help him. I felt really bad. And I said, listen, I feel really bad, but you got to talk to Max. It's just not my forte.
Here's the best thing about being customer service and dealing with people. One, you have to have patience. You have to
Mhm.
have the patience of paper, basically. You know, you have to be willing to listen, and that's a big one. Is that you do have to listen. Now, I'm not saying you didn't listen in this case, but you also have to have the understanding that it's never something big. Big problems are easy to fix.
Right.
It's always the tiny little, oh my God, I didn't think of that. It was that one little tiny thing. I sat and listened to somebody tell me for half an hour that MetaTrader 4 doesn't work for them. My signals don't work for them. Nothing in the program works for them because when they go to load it in, it doesn't work for them. So since it doesn't work, I have to be fake. I have to be. Your mentality can get shifted. Well, guess what? He made one small mistake by downloading MetaTrader 5 to the system instead of MetaTrader 4, and nothing was working in there. But as soon as it shifted, and we said download MetaTrader 4, put it here, and we got it loaded, his mentality goes, oh my God, you're not fake, you're not scamming me, you didn't rip me off. So you see how one tiny little can change your whole entire perspective. And that's what you wait for in customer service. You wait to find out what tiny problem is being made a big problem that we can solve for you. But you have to be patient and understanding enough and listen well enough to be able to help them with that. Most people in their training, in their trading life, in anything that you do, holy crap, if I could tell you the amount of fixes I've been able to do by taking all these things that everybody throws at you, like the problem always gets put in the front, right? And the big issue with problems, folks, and problem solving is that you have to remove the problem to the side and be able to look past the problem and see what are all the little components that made it. Because like I said, it's never a problem. If somebody comes to you and says, hey, the website's down, that's a big problem. You go and you find out the small problem that made the website disappear. That's all it is. A big problem is only a bunch of tiny little problems all mixed together with one of them being going in the wrong direction. And that's the truth. And it's finding those solutions that you make all go in the right direction to become smooth. And so taking all that to some may be easy, but the hour that it takes for me to be able to do that with you individually has to be paid for at a point. And Mike has to be compensated for his time at times, right? So remote accesses will have a $50 charge put to them. But again, if we deem it that it wasn't us, it was something crazy or something, or it wasn't us, then you'll still pay. If it was us, we'll refund. And it comes to that process. But you're securing our time to get advanced. All right. All right. Let's talk about another awesome project that we have, and this was basically one of the last we're going to talk about the last big projects that we're going to be putting in front of anybody is the DexFX News system. We noticed a long time ago that content is king in this world, and getting information and getting learned is very important, but being alerted as well of certain things that are happening will give you a sense of the market. We're going to be doing technical analysis, not technical, market analysis for you daily folks, for you intraday folks, for you indicator people. Anything new coming out is going to be delivered from DexFX. And DexFX basically will start out something like this, where on DexFX, just going to go DF right here, right? Is we're going to find something newsworthy. We're going to find some whatever it is that's going to be coming, and if it's Dex Trader organized, right, it's going to go to Dex Trader. If it's Dex Signals, right, it's going to go to Dex Signals. If it's Dex Indicators, it's going to go to Dex Indicators. You're getting the picture here, right? If it's all three, it's going to go to all three. Now, this information that's happening here, right, that's coming from DexFX, can be visualized and seen and read on Dex Trader, but you can also get links that will take you back to DexFX. Now, DexFX is all about the Forex world. And we're going to be teaching you, there's going to be some components of training that are going to be on this area that will be for free, that some will be able to get codes to go in for the paying stuff that we have on DexFX. Because you're a member of Dex, one of the Dex programs, to be able to get more information on DexFX and learning how to trade Forex, right? And that's the big thing. Learning how to use candles, learning how to do technical analysis. This is the next level. This is the bigger level, right? We're using different metrics here on all of these systems, but here, this is where it sort of gets more advanced. And I'm going to be going into this network now and paving the way for you, right? For those of you that just want to steer, that's fine. You don't have to advance. You don't have to go to this next level. This is a level of technical trading, technical analysis, super uber risk management. Okay, stop losses, how to protect your money. There's going to be other things, commodities and options, and other things we're going to talk about in here. We're going to talk about stocks in here as well. We're going to talk about the stock market. We're going to talk about what affects the market. We're basically going to be training you on everything about the markets and commodities. It's not just Forex. They could have called it Dex Forex News or whatever, but we called it DexFX because it's the way, it's a play on words that how everything affects you in the world of trading. Okay, and that's where it basically comes at, right? But it's about putting the world of Forex at your fingertips and being able to give you the tools and the knowledge about how the market gets affected. Because even though you're using Nadex, you will get affected by the Forex market, right? And knowing those things to look at will help you avoid certain things that happen here, all right? These things will also, as Dex Trader gets news from DexFX, will go out to things like Facebook. You'll see them on Twitter. You'll see them on YouTube. You'll see them in different places. And the same thing for each one of these perspective, Facebook and YouTube pages and stuff like that. But there's another part that we have from here that nobody knows about. We have a social network system that we have put together in the past, but we've also doing here just two parts to it, Our City Radio and Our City GoGo. Now, Our City GoGo is another news kind of marketing process that we have been working on. So you'll hear of this system going up, but there's like 250 Facebook pages of Our City GoGo from different cities around the country and the world even. And so you're going to see this out in the world in all these different places. You're going to see people making comments. There's one news article can get about 470,000 views. You ready for this? In a day, in an instant. Because our system, we've stopped it from going to all of them because we didn't want to overload, but we're about to open up. We're about to open up all of our networks and all of our solutions to help as many people, because if we're serious about helping as many people, we can only put so many people in these networks, right? Why? Because they're with Nadex. You put 1,000 people in any one of these programs, you could affect some of the way that Nadex offers market pricing. But with DexFX and working with the Forex world, it's open, wide open. So we're going to be inviting a lot of people, even past those systems, into here to get into DexFX. So you will see this. So as members, investors of Dex itself, this is the next series and advancement that we're going with. Okay. And as those people come in, they may not like the FX world. They may want to work just with like Nadex, and we'll deliver them down to where they need to go. But pretty soon these will become exclusive. We'll have to cap it out after over a period for Nadex. But for the Forex world, it's wide open. So you're in a perfect mentality now. There's a process that all of you can join at one point or another, some program that we have. And how beautiful is it? Like somebody like Mike, who has no experience whatsoever in trading, except some bad experiences that happened to him. Is that about right, Mike?
Yep, absolutely.
And where do you feel you've graduated to now? Are you on your you're not reached the destination, but you're on your way, right? You're on a state of learning that's very powerful.
I learn every day, Max. It blows me away some of the things that just some of the behind the scenes things you're teaching me. I would never know, and I just feel like I'm back in school all over again. It's great.
Well, hold on to your hat, Kimosabe, because we got a lot more to do, right? I wear a lot of hats, folks, but it's only because I've learned how to become a troubleshooter. My grandfather told me when I was very young, learn how to fix problems, not how to create solutions just yet. You learn how to fix the problems, the solutions will just come to you. And that's what it came to be. I learned how to find what people had and seen as problems and tried to fix them. And as I did, I created solutions that help fix them automatically at certain points. And that's what we're doing here. We're building these programs to help you find your solutions to your problems or fixing your problems. Okay? Final thoughts. I made a statement earlier that my time is valuable and so is Mike's, and you have to pay for that time. Your time is the most valuable of it all, because it's your time that you're making those decisions that wherever it might be. You might be working a full-time job and trying to trade to figure stuff out. Your time is the most valuable, so you have to spend it correctly. So in the very beginning, if you're day oneing it, if you're day 2 or day 3 or week 1 or month 1 or what have you, spend the time to learn. Don't be in a rush. Learn the process by trading it, using demo, figuring the process out. Remember, your time is the most valuable, but if you waste it trying to hurry the process, the time that you're doing now will become wasted. It will become wasted because you have not given it what it needs, is that learning process, that training process. Learning and training are two different things. Learning is following learning what the rules are, learning where all the parameters are of a system, right? Learning all the little tiny things on paper and watching videos, right? Because what you get stuck behind is that most people, they get in and they start learning a little bit, and then they get in and try to do. And you forgot one important thing. You have to train, right? Because it goes learning, training, and then doing, all right? LTD, baby. If you can't get in and do the training, now remember, the training is swinging the bat, swinging the club, kicking the ball, throwing the ball, learning how to operate through practice to perfection. Because if you operate from practice to doing without that proper time, what's available for you? Not just failure, okay, but ruin. Failure is different than ruin, right? Failure, you can fail. Like if I've set aside $1,000 to trade and I screw up and I lose my money, I have failed, right? But if I set aside $1,000, it's my last 1,000. There's no money left in the bank. I don't have any money for food. I don't have any money to take care of my kids. I don't have any money to pay the rent. Then this is called ruin. And if you have ruined yourself by not applying the proper time at the proper moment, then this is not a system that can help you. You have to be prepared. You have to use your time the most you possibly can to get to that point where even if you do fail, even if there is a failure, it won't ruin you. And this is where the second point of the final thoughts comes in, is making your business real. The tools and the training and everything, all the tools that you have, like we were talking about before, learning what tool works the best for you, learning what system works the best for you, applying the mentality that we train you in, and utilizing that training to the best of your ability will make sure that you use this the best possible, which is your time. Now, once this happens, there's a line here, right? You begin to now see that you have to begin to prepare yourself for that pathway. You've accepted the responsibilities that, yes, I have to learn, yes, I have to train, yes, I have to get to a point of success, right? You have an idea what your success is. You have an idea where you need to be at to be a work-at-home trader and how much money that's going to take. You've added some extra money onto that because there will be times you can't work it. But now you have to prepare yourself. What does success look like for you? I can't give you that. You have to give you that. What does success look like for you? Being able to trade to have an abundance after every month? Being able to trade and have at least just enough to get by to complement why you've put 50 hours a week in? You have to come up with what does success look for you. And please, don't make one thing you should never make success is about product, is about things, right? It should be about mentality and the overall scope of how you see yourself, self-reflection in a way. Okay? Gauging whether or not you're a success doesn't come from how much you have. It comes from how much you've done to get there. That makes you a success. And what you have done along the way and how you've complimented yourself and how you've taken those failures and those non-successful things that you have done and learned from them. That's what makes you a success. How much money I make a month does not make me a success, but it's how many people I help along the way. It's how hard I work to be able to get to where I'm going. And lastly, don't be afraid to start over in training. Training is not a destination that can never be revisited. It is something that you can do daily. If you have an issue with, if you get a good webinar and you can isolate the webinars, you can actually go to the YouTube and say, I love this, I want this webinar, I like this process, I love this part of it. You can actually go to that on a daily basis and just listen to that one part. Write it down on a piece of paper. I love Max's video of the October 3rd archived webinar and from 1 minute and 30 seconds to 4 minutes and 50 seconds. Don't listen to all the other blah, blah, blah. Listen to that part of it. If you have a favorite that inspires you, train in it. Get into that mentality. Build your mentality up. Build up your attitude rather than your technical press. Because, folks, 90% of trading is being positive, wanting to make it work, being withstanding of the market, learning how to survive the drawdown takes mentality and mental girth. You can't survive the drawdown with a weak mentality because you will run scared. Don't be afraid to start over. Don't be afraid to wipe away. If you're getting too complicated with dailies and intradays and SR maxes and MBDs, don't be afraid to just wipe it all away and say, okay, let's start all over, refresh the page, go back in, do. Even write it, because listen, there's something we can do too. We can actually go in and wipe away what you've already learned through the network. So it shows, all the stuff is blank again, so you know what you can retrace again. So there's things that we can do there too. All right, so keep that in mind. There's a lot of work that you have to do to get to your idea of success. The best time to start right now. Mike, thanks a lot for hanging around with me, man. You rock, dude.
Thanks, man. Always a
You got
pleasure to
a
be here with you.
1 o'clock webinar, and I have a webinar with Brad Beckham. All right, consult with me. And don't worry, I'm not going to charge Brad. Yep. He's probably going to charge me here soon. Yet. All right. Everybody who's watching after the fact, thank you so much. Brad says $500. That's pesos, buddy. Pesos. I want to thank everybody for watching and being here today. If you're watching this after the fact, if you have any questions or any problems, please reach out to support. We're here for you. Happy birthday again to Brian Farrow and to Amy Kuipers and to Deck Signals. New way of thinking. And as always, trade well. Everybody in the room, hang out, and we'll do some questions and answers before we got to go.